What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate rolling on until 7 p.m. this afternoon. Truly do appreciate you making us part of your day. Thank you so much. Here's how you guys can be a part of what we got cooking this afternoon. You can give us a ring at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. The text line, the carpro.com text line, is 71307 to start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. TV recommendation for you, Outlander. Wifey and I are totally into it. We're waiting to see what's going to happen to Stephen Bonnet. Always got to give you something a little off the grid, so that's a show we are super into right now. Other programming notes. We'll have a show with CBS Sports Radio this coming Saturday, noon to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. A show that can be heard in its entirety right here on the Fan Upstates in the Carolinas. I'm always blown away in a truly appreciative way. We always have the local text line open. So if you text the show when I'm on CBS Sports Radio, just like you do when you text Offsides, we'll get to your texts, but this time it's going across the entire country. Your text messages to the show. I will tell you this. It is challenging AF to prep that CBS show. That's noon to 5 to 10 p.m. When I do that one is so much easier because I can just get up Saturday morning, 9 a.m., prep the whole show 9 to 5, ready to go. You don't have that luxury when the show's at noon. You got to prep it during the week, right? And so when you're doing a 4-hour show and then you're prepping that show, my friends, that is a challenge. Noon to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That'll be on this Saturday. All right, coming up on Offsides this afternoon. All right. We are going to have a thorough realignment discussion. I'm going to tell you who's going to win each and every division in the National Football League. Today, our ACC and SEC team preview series continues. It's time for the Who's on Offsides. Now, what team is that, ladies and gentlemen? Pop quiz for you. What team is the Who's? Not the Whodats, not the Weedats, the Who's. Who
you
are
should
they?
check out the Mongolian throat metal singing band called The Who.
Oh, there you go.
The H-U, not W-H-O, but H-U. They're a Mongolian band that sings with this like deep vibrato vocal tone. There's like 6 of them, and it's incredible.
We will look at the Major League Baseball true contenders post the trade deadline. We will take a look at the South Carolina Gamecocks schedule as we did Clemson's yesterday and rank the opponents in terms of likelihood of a loss. All right, South Carolina schedule. Do that at 4:40 p.m. today. We've got the top 5 at 5. We've got either or, and we have you here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. What is good, YouTube? Great to see all the folks on YouTube this afternoon. Truly do love and appreciate you guys as well. A new way for you guys to take in the show. It is our YouTube channel. Just go to the YouTube app on your phone, search up the Fan Upstate. Please hit that red little subscribe button. And I'm sorry that you'll have to see both Diesel and I, but for 2 hours and 20 minutes, we do this every single day, right? Every single day. So let's open the show today with this. The earth-shattering news coming out of college football is that the Pac-12's future is said to be being discussed and is said to be decided. It's going to be decided in the next 24 to 36 hours. That sounds catastrophic. What do you mean the future of the Pac-12 is going to be decided in the next 24 to 36 hours? Why is that happening? What in the name of Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush is going on over there? Well, what's happening is the Big Ten is meeting to discuss whether they want to add Oregon and Washington. And the Pac-12 is saying to itself, well, wait a minute. The Pac-12, we're going to lose USC and UCLA. That takes us down to 10. We are going to lose Colorado. That takes us down to 9. Probably going to lose Arizona also to the Big 12. That takes us down to 8. Now what are we going to do? Well, I suggested yesterday signing on Boise State and San Diego State, which would get them back to the Pac-10, but that doesn't do them any good if Oregon and Washington are on the way out. You can survive, believe it or not, folks, without USC and UCLA. One program is a 9, another program is a 6. But I don't think you can survive losing UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and Colorado. The entire conference is looking for greener pastures.
At that point, you just need to do the ancient Japanese practice of harakiri. Just jab it in, twist it around, and end it.
I want to open today by going over the single biggest mistake, all right, during the realignment era. And I've got a photo in front of me. It's on my phone. And there was an article written by Ted Miller, who I don't know if he's still there, but at the time was an ESPN senior writer. And this is dated September 21st, 2011. All right, September 21st, 2011. Here is the biggest mistake in the realignment era. A day after conference expansion Armageddon was avoided, with the Pac-12 taking a pass on Oklahoma and Texas, Commissioner Larry Scott was in good cheer, and why not? Scott's conference still has the richest TV deal and is the most unified and stable in the nation. September 21st, 2011. Quote, we could have expanded, but the deal didn't make any sense at the end of the day for us, especially given the position that we're in. There is a very high bar. It's hard to imagine very many scenarios for our conference to expand because the bar is so high. They've acted like there's no way for the conference to expand. It's so high. And Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech were not able to clear that bar.
Pride cometh before the fall, Mark.
A determination Scott made over the weekend which he recommended to the Pac-12 presidents on Monday and Tuesday. Thus, the statement from Scott's office Tuesday night that the conference would remain at 12 teams. September 21st, 2011. Where was I then? I was in the Florida Panhandle on a regional sports network called the Ticket Sports Network. It was broadcasting there. And I remember that. And I remember thinking to myself, passing on Oklahoma and Texas is a bold move, Cotton. I mean, that is a really, really bold move. Now, here's the crazy thing. I can totally see why Larry Scott did that.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, I'm not here to call him an idiot. Why did he do that? Because he valued the regionality of college football. Because he said all of the institutions in our league have a shared strategic vision. We're academics first. We're in the Pacific Northwest. We're on the Pacific Coast. You know, he valued all of those things. So, like, he's saying to himself, he was looking at what's part of the greater good. Are Oklahoma and Texas joining the Pac-12 for the greater good? I understand why he said no. I get that. I understand why the Pac-12 presidents voted no. They're not a part of us. We're on the West Coast. We're a West Coast league. We have our own ideals, our own visions. But maybe 24 to 36 hours before they are rendered extinct, that goes down as the single biggest mistake of the Pac-12 era. It should surprise no one that Larry Scott is no longer the commissioner of said conference. Folks, I open today with this question for you. Is college football's spot as America's number 2 in doubt? And I ask you that with the backdrop being the following. Our buddy Josh Pate has a poll up today, and he says you've got two choices. You can have college football the way it was before 2007, and it's that college football forever. Or you can have the college football the way it's going to be after 2027. And you can have that college football forever. Which did you want? Everything that comes with it. Remember, 2007, you don't have NIL. You don't have college players making money. 76% said that they want what, Diesel? Before 2007 or after 2027?
I'm going to say before.
Before 2007.
Now, in that
76%.
scenario, if your team was in a different conference or division than it is now, do you have to go back?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I was having a good time winning national titles as an FCS fan.
Yeah.
It was a great time. Sold out stadium every week.
Folks, college football, and I don't know that many people realize this, is now the firm number 2 in America. The NFL is number 1. Nobody challenges it. But not many people realize that college football is number 2. First of all, because it happened very recently. And secondly, that we tend to compare pro leagues ratings-wise. We don't tend to do that with colleges. But let me tell you, college football is now a clear number 2. And you are now threatened that the number 2 sport in America is now being threatened by nothing other than greed. You know, the presidents of these universities are telling you what it's about. They're telling you it's about money. They're not being secretive about this. You know it's about money. I know it's about money. Where can we get our hands on the biggest bag? Why is that suddenly so important to get your hands on the biggest bag? Well, because the bags need to be bigger than ever before to get the 4 and 5 stars to sign on to you, right? So a lot of this money can go into the collective, which in turn can be thrown back out to the 4 and 5 star players, which in turn can come to your school. And you're hearing Clemson and Florida State say, we cannot maintain this level of excellence that we've held. Florida State's case probably 10 years ago. They had a really good 20-year run. Clemson's case is the modern era. They're telling you, we cannot continue this if we're going to be at a $30 million disadvantage a year. But if we make up that $30 million, now there's a lot of money in the coffers for improved facilities, improved collectives, NIL, yada, yada, yada. I understand the schools are not supposed to be involved in NIL or the collectives, but they are. They most certainly are. So, folks, consider this for a minute, okay? Because I believe that baseball has a lot of momentum behind it right now. Baseball is very much trending in a positive direction. Okay? They've got a progressive commissioner, Rob Manfred. They've made a lot of changes to the sport to bring back in casual fans who had left it. I was president of that fan club. I couldn't believe that baseball wasn't getting with the times. Now baseball games are half an hour shorter, right? Now they've done away with the stupid winner-take-all wild card game. You know, they've made a lot of positive changes. And you're going to look up a few years from now in college football, and you're going to say to yourself, I don't know if I recognize this anymore.
So what I'm hearing, Mark, right now is one thing the Big Ten wants to do is essentially steal all the best teams out of the Pac-12. You would have an entire Western wing of Southern Cal, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, and whoever else might be interested in coming along. What I think this does is it sets up what I have predicted, maybe 20 years down the road, maybe 30 years down the road, when fans of those teams, schools, programs on the western edge of the Big Ten will look up and say, you know what, this isn't a whole lot of fun being in this league. It kind of sucks, you know? We're not really feeling any of the opponents that we play week in and week out. Nobody comes all the way out here from New Jersey, from Illinois to see our games when we host their teams. Stadiums are empty. It's just not fun. So that's why I think 20, 30 years down the road, we're going to see these mega conferences split back apart and rearrange again geographically. And we talk all the time, fans at least do all the time, about, oh, well, just kick out the weak links in your conference. How great would it be if the SEC could just kick out Vanderbilt? How great would the Pac-12 be if we could just kick out Washington State? This may be how they end up doing it in a very, very circuitous fashion, roundabout, long-term concept here, but it might be how they accomplish that.
You know, presidents, athletic directors typically do not kick out schools. They just don't.
You can't. You'd be sued into oblivion.
Right. So, you know, I would have no problem if a new conference that formed had a standard of excellence that was expected. Diesel, I think, you know, you and I may have just landed on a brilliant idea for a newly formed group of 5 league that has a partnership agreement with another league where you have promotion and relegation.
I love that idea.
Here is your expected performance. Got to make a bowl game every 3 years, etc. If you don't hit that expectation for performance, you are relegated down to, I don't know, Conference USA, or you are relegated down to this or that, or you're relegated down to the FCS.
Well, I hate to tell you, but group of 5 conferences don't necessarily make a whole lot of sense geographically either. Not talking about the Sun Belt, they make sense geographically, but Conference USA, spread coast to coast. The American Athletic, spread coast to coast. The MAC, very good geography. Mountain West, very good geography. But you got to figure out a way to assign these conferences around and say, hey, SEC, Sun Belt, y'all are a pair now. Do your promotion and relegation thing. Big Ten, you're now with the American Athletic. Do your promotion and relegation. Conference USA, ACC, go for it.
Are we, my friends, witnessing the beginning of the end for college football as we know it? You know, and I know what you're saying, Mark, there's mega dollars behind this. Yeah, because they're assuming the product, you're still going to buy the product the way that you always have, right? They're taking you for granted. And it's sad. They're assuming you're always going to be there because my love for Florida and your love for Clemson and your love for South Carolina knows no bounds until you don't recognize the sport anymore, until you tune in to watch UCLA at Rutgers in Piscataway, New Jersey, and the crowd looks like the Gasparilla Bowl. There's nobody there. There's nobody there because you've done away with the regionality of these games, and this is something West Virginia fans, if you listen to them, they'll tell you what it's been like for them in the Big 12. It sucks. It doesn't make any sense. If you guys can widen the lens enough to really drink this in, are we witnessing the beginning of the end for college football? I think at minimum, Diesel, it's spot as our number 2 is in serious doubt with this kind of nonsense going on.
I can't tell you how much it hurts me to see this, and this is increasing. This is not decreasing, it's increasing. The number of fans who have bought in and drank this Kool-Aid to say, oh, it's going to be great, though. We're going to have so many bigger brands in our conference, and our schools are going to be making more money. Stop thinking like people who are flying first class across the country if all you've ever flown is coach or ridden a Greyhound bus. Like, we see it in our comment sections on our YouTube videos. People saying like, oh, it's going to be great when Clemson's in the Big Ten. It's going to be great because you're going to have these brands in the Big Ten. Like, stop drinking that Kool-Aid, do what's good for you. Think in a way that's good for you, not for rich dudes who wouldn't pee on you to put out a fire.
Folks, coming up next, how the Big Ten's aggressiveness is actually really helping Clemson. I'll share with you my feelings on that when Offsides continues right after this. We're live on YouTube. Go to YouTube, open to the YouTube app, check out the Fan Upstate there. The carpro.com text line is there for you as well. Do we have a new person?
We do. We have Max Webb on the YouTube chat.
Welcome,
What's up, Max Webb?
Great to see you, buddy. And Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel will continue right after this. We are the Fan Upstate.
Got another new one.
All
Justin
right.
Addis, welcome to the stream.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Every time we've got a new person in on the stream, you get the little bell to let you know we see you. We appreciate you checking us out on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for doing that, gentlemen. So the tease before the commercial break was how the Big Ten's aggressiveness is really helping Clemson. Now, what the Big Ten is meeting on right now is freaking fascinating, folks. And it's fascinating because they're deciding right now whether they're going to expand their league. Well, why would they expand their league, and why wouldn't they expand their league? Well, here you go. If they're happy with their place in the parlance of college football, okay, if they say, okay, we're clearly number 2, but we are one of the 2 power brokers in college football. Okay, well, we're clearly number 2, though, but we're one of the power brokers. That's good enough for us. If they said that, like you could totally side on to the Big 12 standing pat right now, right? Like they don't have to make a move right now. One would say that they're in a very, very, very good spot. Would you not agree with that? The Big Ten today, very, very, very good spot. But they're not getting complacent. But they're not seemingly standing pat. There seems to be a feeling as though the Big Ten is going to expand again, and the Big Ten is going to expand sooner than later. Yesterday, I went and I looked and I tracked. Okay, I said, okay, if I'm giving every program in the Big Ten and the SEC, including Oklahoma and Texas, including USC and UCLA, if I'm giving them a 1 through 10 program grade based on where they are as a program right now, okay, overall as a program, what are the grades? Who does better? Well, anyway, folks, here you go. I'll fly through these, and this is just a scale of 1 to 10. SEC first. Florida 7, Georgia 10, Kentucky 6.5, Missouri 4, South Carolina 5, Tennessee 8, Vanderbilt 3, Alabama 10, Arkansas 6, Auburn 7, LSU 9, Mississippi State 4, Ole Miss 6.5, Texas A&M 7, Oklahoma 9, Texas 8. Those are my 1 through 10 scores for the SEC. Here's the Big Ten. UCLA 6, USC 9, Indiana 4, Maryland 4, Michigan State 6, Michigan 10, Ohio State 10, Penn State 8, Rutgers 2.5, Illinois 4, Iowa 7, Minnesota 5, Nebraska 6, Northwestern 5, Purdue 5, Wisconsin 7. You add those all up, the SEC's total is 110. The Big Ten's total is 98.5. And then the question becomes, are we cool with that disparity? Are we cool with being number 2? Because we can still hold our academics as a high priority. We can still hold on to the value, however far-fetched it may be, of the student athlete. We can still hold on to that, right? That they can choose to still do that. But they're not seemingly content. They see that they're down 110 to 98.5 on the Mark Ryan scorecard of programs, and they're determined to change that. And they're determined to change that rapidly. So why is this so beneficial to Clemson? Well, I don't think Clemson wants to be in the Big Ten. I think Clemson feels like the Big Ten would be a decent compromise. And if they're getting $20 million more a year, they'll certainly jump ship from the ACC and go play in the Big Ten. They've already got to travel north of Big Ten teams anyway when they go up to play Boston College, when they go up to play Syracuse. The ACC, Clemson is already playing in Big Ten country. But my friends, this aggressiveness by the Big Ten, discussing whether they're going to add Oregon and Washington, is very beneficial to Clemson, because if the Big Ten expands, it forces the SEC's hand. And if the SEC's hand is forced, who's next in line? Everybody wants Notre Dame. Everybody wants Notre Dame first. Notre Dame has not budged, okay? Until we hear otherwise, I'm going to assume that they're never going to budge. Next up on the list would be Clemson. Next up on the list after that would be Florida State. Perhaps next up on the list after that would be Miami. And so I get the sense that the SEC is cool with standing pat so long as the Big Ten doesn't expand. But the Big Ten expanding threatens the SEC. And when the SEC is threatened, the SEC expands, and then Clemson gets the gift that it's wanted for some time. We asked you guys the other day, we said, will Clemson ever be a member of the SEC? And you guys voted no. It was 59% no, 41% yes. Diesel, I firmly believe that this aggressiveness from the Big Ten could result in Clemson and Florida State joining the SEC sooner or later, because Clemson and Florida State could go to Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC, and say, we've got a bid in hand. We'd rather be with you. What are you going to do? Are you going to let the Big Ten go to 20 teams? You're still at 16? Oregon, Washington, Clemson, Florida State? Are you going to let the Big Ten surpass us? We've got a bid in hand. What are you going to do? You got 48 hours to give us an invite.
Well, it ultimately all comes down to something I said yesterday or the day before. It all comes down to what the SEC's strategy is. Now, neither of these are a slam dunk perfect strategy, but you have to decide which one is the better strategy for the SEC. Do you want market penetration or do you want market saturation? Market saturation is going after Clemson and Florida State. You saturate the states of South Carolina and Florida. Having Clemson and South Carolina gives you, roughly 75% of the football-loving fans in the state of South Carolina. Adding Florida State gives you roughly 67% of the football-loving fans in the state of Florida. And by the way, going that way gives you the two best brands and the two biggest fan bases in the ACC. Going another way, market penetration would be going after North Carolina, North Carolina State, Virginia, or Virginia Tech. That puts you into new markets, but the problem is those schools don't necessarily have the best fan bases. They don't have the best history of success when you compare them to Clemson and Florida State. I'm not taking anything away from those four programs. They've all had little flashes here and there where they've been really, really good, but they haven't been consistently great over their lifetime. So do you go after market saturation or market penetration? And by the way, the market penetration model, again, doesn't get you great football, but it gets you a lot of really good basketball.
Yeah, it does. It does. And folks, we're going to see like how this whole thing plays out, man. We're going to see how it shakes out. I'm looking at this outside looking in, and I'm nervous. Honestly, I'm nervous. Not because I don't want Florida State in the SEC, because I don't want Florida State in the SEC. I understand why the Gamecocks don't want Clemson in the SEC, right? The reason is that's the single advantage that you have over Clemson. It's also a disadvantage. You play a harder schedule than they do, right? But the single advantage you have is you play in the NFL of college football, the Southeastern Conference. All right? The NFL is to the SEC what the SEC is to the rest of college football. And the NFL is to the NFL is to any other professional league, right? The XFL, the USFL, the NFL is to any of those other professional leagues what the SEC is to other conferences. I've always believed that. You've got that advantage over Clemson. If Clemson joins the SEC, you lose that advantage. Dan B says, Mark, you gave Nebraska a 6. That was generous. Look, man, Nebraska still got the coffers, still has the booster support to bring in a Matt Rule at $9 million a year. They've got the pedigree and the fan base and the support to bring in a coach that can turn you guys around overnight, right? You know, like if I said to you, Northwestern, Minnesota, Purdue, Nebraska, what job do you want? What's the best program out of those four, right? Well, I gave you 3 5s and a 6. I have Nebraska 1 slot below Iowa, who is 7th, number 7, right? 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. So anyway, folks, I look at this and I'm so troubled because college football, folks, clearly right now is for sale. And some things should never be sold. It is very, very clearly for sale right now, up for the highest bidder. We've started to have a gap of millions of dollars a year, depending on these conferences. And the Pac-12 has been trying to secure a new media rights deal with Apple. And guess what? It would be almost all streaming. The Pac-12 would be almost entirely off of broadcast television. They're bristling at that. Apple is saying, well, yeah, we have all the money in the world, but why would we pay you all that money in the world, right? Why would we do that? Doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. And so, folks, what I think is being lost here is prioritizing you. Prioritizing you, the fans of college football. You are being forgotten. What you're going to get with all this extra revenue is you're going to get priced out of games. Fans do not want to buy more bougie or upscale game day experience. Fans, part of attending a college football game is it does feel a little bit poor. It does feel a little bit rustic. That's part of the appeal to it, is it not? Do you really want a college football game at Death Valley that has fewer seats, but the seats are more plush and the eating options have more stars? Do you really want a Clemson football game experience where you're buying $50 filet mignon? No, right? Like, college football has been sitting on bleachers, sitting on the hill, hamburgers, hot dogs, popcorn, beer. That's been college football, And my alma mater, Florida, right now, is discussing going from 86,000 fans to 75,000 fans to give higher-paying fans a more upscale experience, pricing out you and I. These colleges right now are all about maximizing their bottom line so they can pay players and so they can upgrade their facilities every few years. Who's being lost in that shuffle? You are. You are the fan. It should have never been up for sale. There are certain things, folks, that you just can't buy. Professional teams, college football teams, there's part of this. But then, folks, there's this ugly underbelly as well. Do you realize that third-party influence may soon shake the foundation of college football, impacting college conferences and programs? This article coming out from Dennis Dodd. And he writes, how does a new conference financed with a $1 billion investment sound to you, college football fan? Okay. What would it take to buy a conference? The power brokers of college football agreed, $1 billion. So are we now close to the Saudi royal family buying a conference? Hey, we're going to buy a conference. We're going to call it the Live Tour Conference. And what we want are 4 teams from the SEC. Here's what we're going to give you. We want 4 teams from the Big Ten. Here's what we're going to give you. We want 4 teams from the ACC, 4 teams from the Pac-12, 4 teams from the Big 12. We'll just pick whomever we want because we're going to pay the most money, and we're going to create our own conference. And folks,
don't think for a second that money-hungry, fancy suit and tie wearing executives, that university presidents would ever say no to this, because they know for a fact that if they said no, there's 100 other universities who will say yes.
Folks, we are learning here, and we are seeing that they don't care about the history of your league. They don't care about the feel good and the warm fuzzies and the rivalries. They don't care about any of that. They don't care, as I do, that Florida plays South Carolina every single year, that Florida plays Kentucky every single year. Part of what made college football special is it was a shared bond forged over generations because each generation played rivals and went through similar trials and tribulations. Florida fans back in 1985 could talk to me, a Florida student in the year 2000, right? About, hey man, what was the Kentucky game like in your year? Vanderbilt, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia. Like that meant something. You went through a similar experience every single year. And they're ripping that right from your hands. They're ripping it right from your hands. And I know we're all kind of in a wait and see approach, but I'm going to tell you guys, you're not going to like this. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to like it. You can go to a Clemson football game right now for $25. How do I know? Because I've gone to Clemson games with my media badge, and I've asked scalpers outside the stadium how much they're looking for. They think I'm looking to buy a ticket. I'm just doing some market research. Every single game, except that of a top 25 opponent, you can get in for $25. Well, I'll tell you what, if they get their way, it's not going to be that way anymore, Diesel. It's going to be cheapest ticket, $100.
Yeah.
Now you got to pay $50 parking. It used to be a family experience. It no longer is a family experience.
Well, Josh Pate's podcast that he released yesterday on his show yesterday, he said, look, it used to be that the money guys had one hand on the wheel and the tradition do the right thing guys had the other hand on the wheel. Well, now the money guys firmly have both hands on the wheel. That's why this is going so downhill so fast, is there is nobody saying, whoa, guys, we shouldn't do this.
We welcome Michael Hurst to the YouTube chat as well. Another new listener, another new subscriber to our YouTube page.
What's
at
up,
the Fan
Michael?
Upstates.
Howdy.
And you might think, well, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, are you guys going the way of college football? Are you going to change things up on us? No, we're not. We're still very much available on 97.7 FM and 97.1 FM. But in order for us to, as sports media members, to thrive and survive in the current media landscape, we've got to provide A-level content to you as often as possible through as many mediums as possible. So you'll find us on the app. You can stream us on the webpage, thefanupstate.com. You'll find us on YouTube, right? You can still find us on the dial, but we've got to be where you are, wherever you are, right? All right, coming up next, I've had a realization that Diesel is going to hate about all this, and I'm going to reveal it to you when Offsides continues. It's the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. So I've had this uncomfortable realization because we're centering on a lot of inconvenient truths here in college football, my friends. And the truth is that, Diesel, I feel it's time for a group of 5 exclusive playoff. I think we're just getting to a place in terms of dollars where the big schools were always at a disadvantage, always at a serious advantage, right? But every once in a while, you get a Boise State over Oklahoma. In sports with fewer players, right? Fewer players to prevent that cumulative advantage. You can see UMBC beating Virginia. You can see Furman beating Virginia. Have you noticed it's always Virginia, right? But you can see these things happening in time. I just think this is going to rapidly result in the two entities playing a totally different sport and the two entities playing a totally different game. We will never have, in my opinion, promotion or relegation in college football. But if we did, there would be an incredible feeder system, right? The Sun Belt could be the minor league of the SEC. And Vanderbilt, you better get your bleep together because Appalachian State is chomping at the bit to move up to the SEC. But Diesel, my belief is there's going to be such a chasm, such a gap between the Power 5 and the Group of 5 when the dust settles from the latest round of realignment that it's time to crown a Group of 5 national champion.
No, flat out reject. No, don't want it. You see, this is you, Josh Pate, and every other voice in college football loves to try to fansplain to Group of 5 fans what they should want. And no one in the Group of 5 has ever said they want it. So stop trying. Stop trying. The big conferences have been trying for years to try to figure out ways to break away. That's the whole reason why there was an FBS, FCS split, because the big schools didn't want to be associated with the little schools anymore. So they had that split. Fast forward about 50, 60 years. And in a lot of cases, competitively, not financially, but competitively, a lot of those smaller schools, the Group of 5, now not the FCS, but the Group of 5, have caught up with a lot of the big schools and very often beat them on the field. Obviously, a lot of times when you're talking about top 10 programs playing the Akrons and the Bowling Greens of the world, you're not getting a whole lot of upsets there. But when you allow the top end, top 15, 20 or so Group of 5 programs to play games against Power 5 programs, whether it's a top half Power 5 program or a bottom half Power 5 program, guess what? Vanderbilt's still getting that $50 million check every year, but competitively, it's not helping them. So Group of 5 fans do not want a separate playoff. Group of 5 fans do not want to be excluded from the big table. And that's exactly what this is intended to try to do. Now you're saying it's because, oh, you guys, you'll never have a chance. You'll never have a chance to win this thing. Well, not until it happens.
Diesel, I think you're going to see the lack of competitiveness and realize that there is now a level of football that is between the FBS and the FCS. And shouldn't those entities get to play for a championship?
FCS already has a national championship.
I understand. And I think the Group of 5 is going to have a national championship. And I think the Power 5 is going to have a national championship. And it's because the games are going to turn into something no one wants to watch anymore.
By the way, I've got to do this twice because we have Field Art and Mark L on the stream for the first time. 2 newbies.
Awesome.
This is great.
Awesome. Great to have you guys. Make sure you also get your points in on the carpro.com text line. All you have to do is text to the number 71307. Start your text with the word fan and continue with your message. We will get to it on the show. All right, my friends. Our ACC and SEC team preview series is going to continue next. And it's going to continue next with a program that for the life of me, I can't figure out why they can't seem to take the next step. That's next here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Join me for the Rob Brown Show tomorrow morning at 9, only on the Fan.
It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. today. Fantastic to have you guys with us. The SEC East is stronger than Clemson's schedule. Riddle me ridiculous, Batman. So says a texter on the carpro.com text line. Texter wants to know, with high school football starting this weekend, when are you going to start the high school weekly segments? The answer is soon, texter. Yes, Diesel.
That is for Luke M. That one is for April Mosley. 2 more newbies in the YouTube thread.
Man, it's awesome to see
It's
the
great.
growth of our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for checking us out there, guys. Means the world to us.
Madcraft says I'm going to need a bigger bell. He's not wrong. You're not wrong, Matt.
Texter says on the carpro.com text line, hey, guys, I listen every day and love when Mark hosts nationally. Sweet spot, in my opinion. Repping you. Excellence in hosting in the upstate. Keep it up, guys. Man, what a nice text. Thank you so much, man. Made my day. Truly do appreciate it. All right, folks, each and every day we do an ACC and SEC team preview series. Preview. Boy, that was redundant, right? We do a 1-segment preview every day, and each day it is a different team from either the ACC or the SEC. And our next guest is someone I've never spoken to, but I've admired her work for some years. I believe used to cover my alma mater, the University of Florida. Now she's out of Charlottesville, Virginia, where she's doing an outstanding job as the publisher for Wahoo's 24/7 on 24/7 Sports. Her name is Jackie Franchuli. And Jackie, it is awesome to meet you. First time speaking, longtime fan of your work. How are you today?
Doing great. Yeah, it's kind of strange to think that this is their first time actually talking since we've interacted for so many years, especially when I was like on the Gators beat.
There you go. Now, Jackie, can you give me the origin of your last name? Where are you from originally? Your family?
Yeah, sure. My dad is from Naples in Italy.
There you go.
Napoli. So
there you go.
That's the Italian.
I didn't want to assume, but Jackie, I'm not sure if you know my actual last name. If you do, please don't share it because I don't reveal that on the air. But from one Italian to another, Manja, cheers, all of that good stuff. It's great to have you on, and I truly appreciate it. Also, Jackie, congratulations are in order because you are oh so close to that 10,000 follower count mark. So I know you're maybe a month away or less.
Yes, almost there. As long as Twitter survives, right?
Well, I know. Twitter seems to be in about as precarious a spot as college football does right now. So let's open with that, Jackie. What are you hearing? What do you make of the future of the ACC? I haven't heard Virginia attached very often in terms of being a program that would jump ship, but certainly some troubled waters ahead here for every team in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Actually, I haven't heard exactly if Virginia would jump ship, but last year, actually, when the realignment rumors started, we reported that Virginia was one of the schools, in addition to North Carolina, that other conferences would want them in the conference because of the market size, but also other things that Virginia would bring to the table because of the AAU, accreditation for Virginia with the Big Ten, but the SEC wanting to add, more academic schools because, obviously University of Florida was one of the schools that became a top school, top public school. Other schools in the SEC would like that, but also Virginia's excellence in national championships in other sports. They have about 33 or 34 national titles of other sports. Women's swimming just won one, men's tennis just won one. So we've heard rumblings about this, and we actually heard that Virginia was part of a group. This was, before the Magnificent Seven came about, we heard that Athletic Director Carla Williams and President Jim Ryan have been active in talking to ACC presidents and talking to figure out what's next. So Virginia isn't staying still. They're trying to figure out what's their next move, and they've been doing this for about a year and a half now. So it looks like Virginia is one of those schools that, although they're not jumping ship quite yet, there might be a landing spot for them because they have shown at least some interest, or at least people have explored the option for Virginia.
Jackie, we here on the Fan Upstate broadcast firmly in Furman country. And at the risk of reopening that wound, what was the immediate on-the-ground reaction following what happened?
For just for the stuff that happened in November, or
Yeah, for Virginia basketball fans.
For Virginia basketball,
the tournament,
fans?
yeah, the tournament game.
Sorry, it's just that we have a lot of coaches from Furman too. It's just it's just been so for basketball. I mean, the Virginia basketball fans just understand disappointment right now, but they always say that they lost in the year before they won the national titles. They were mocked by everybody, and then the next year they won a national title. So all I hear from fans is just like, wait till next year. And honestly, Virginia basketball is pretty loaded right now. They have a lot of good talent. I feel like they're underrated right now when you looked at the preseason rankings ahead of basketball. They a little bit underrated. So it could be a good year for Tony Bennett. I mean, they just got a new commitment recently, and he just reclassified, so he's able to get on grounds earlier now.
Jackie Franchuli, publisher of Wahoo's 24/7, joining us here on Offsides. Mark, Ron, and Diesel, the fan upstate. Jackie, the head coach is one very familiar to these parts. Tony Elliott, former offensive coordinator at Clemson, left on very, very good terms. A lot of Clemson fans really, really wishing him well, but there was an underwhelming tone to year one. 3-7 overall, 1-6 in the 2022. Yeah, 3-7 overall. So why the slow start for Tony Elliott? Is the vibe not where it needs to be for him just yet?
Yeah, well, it was a tough spot for Tony Elliott to kind of come into. This was a very different type of coaching change. Usually when you're dealing with a coaching change, either you have like a retirement where it's coming, so the players know it's coming, but also if things are going wrong as a player and as a program in general, okay, a coaching search could happen if this so-and-so were happen. You understand that things could go wrong. But this was something so unexpected. I mean, Bronco Mendenhall was literally having an in-home visit with Xavier Brown, one of their commitments, and eventually a guy that's on the Virginia's team. And then the next day he announced retirement. I mean, his staff was on the road recruiting, and they had no idea. So Tony Elliott was coming into that environment. So you had players that loved Bronco Mendenhall, loved the other staff, and you were trying to say that you're going to change the culture of Virginia. You needed buy-in because you're going to turn them into champions. You're going to teach them how to win. And although Bronco Mendenhall wasn't going and winning national titles for Virginia, he was doing pretty successful. He went to the Orange Bowl 2 years before that. So you're coming into a locker room that's like, what are you saying? We are doing okay. Like why? So there was a buy-in issue. And then that kind of carried over. When things went wrong and you don't have that immediate buy-in in the locker room, it's just going to go downhill. So that's what you had last year. And also you were trying to change an offense that was kind of the backyard football. Robert Anine, his offense, credit to him, he adapts his offense to what they have. But Coach Kitchings and Coach Elliott and the staff really wanted to see kind of have their offense and start from the get-go. Didn't really want to kind of adjust anything. This is what we wanted to do. We're going to work through what we have. And unfortunately, Virginia didn't have the pieces yet. And when you have an O-line that had almost no game experience, most of their O-line was gone in a transfer portal after Bronco Mendenhall left. I mean, their best player, Olu, won the best center, best offensive lineman awards at the end of the year for Michigan. He's gone. So you had no line, and then you had Brendan Armstrong, one of the best passers the year before, is struggling because he got no time to pass. He's one of the most under pressure quarterbacks. I mean, everything just went downhill from there. This year, you got more buy-in. The players are younger. It's more of their players. I mean, they added about 10 transfer guys in the offseason. They added a quarterback that they recruited, a quarterback that they can fit in their system, and Tony Muskett from Monmouth. So that's where you look as an observer, you can say, this is your team now. You have started to make your team. You got the pieces you want. So I think this is when you can really evaluate Tony Elliott and the staff, because you're getting your pieces. And, you saw what Coach Rodzinski and the defense did. They would have completely 180 defense from one year to the next. They were one of the best defenses in the ACC, had a really great defensive front that all returned this year. So when you look at that side, you're like, okay, we can see the changes there. Let's see the exact same change on the offense with your guys. If you can do that, you can start moving in the right direction.
Jackie, every team has 3 or 4 50-50 games on their schedule, and how those 3 or 4 games largely determines how successful a season is. What games does Virginia identify as those 50-50 games? And how do you feel at this point going into preseason about their chances to beat those teams?
I mean, if you're in the ACC, there's a lot of 50-50 games. I mean, anyone who knows what's going on in the ACC, covering the ACC it's like it's funny. It's like the wild, wild west because you don't know who's what and where. You know, Louisville, are they going to be good? How many transfer guys are brought? Over 20 new guys on that roster. How are they going to be? How good are they going to be? Virginia has a history of doing well, even at Louisville. I mean, they beat Louisville 2 years ago on that field goal. So again, it's when you look at Virginia's schedule. Obviously, they face Tennessee to open it up in Nashville for a neutral site game, air quotes. That's obviously not something that you think Virginia's going to lose that game. Then you go to James Madison at home. That's a tough in-state opponent when you look at JMU and what they've been able to overcome. But in the ACC, I mean, Georgia Tech at ESPN has Virginia favored in that one, but Duke is favored in the next game. I think that's a 50-50 game. I mean, if you look at Virginia Tech, I mean, that is a 50-50 game. That's going to be a tough game for both of them. Both teams are trying to establish some sort of identity in the state of Virginia. You have that as a 50-50 game. I think even Maryland could be a 50-50 game just because I think Maryland's defense isn't as strong, and I think Virginia's defense can go toe-to-toe with their offense. So you even consider Maryland, NC State coming to Virginia, facing obviously the story of Brennan Armstrong facing his own team. How's that offense going to look? Again, it's matching up to their Virginia strengths. That's another 50-50 game in the ACC. Boston College, another 50-50 game for Virginia. If you look at UVA's schedule, and I know that Vegas has them at 3.5 right now, I think if you're trying to bet, I would go with the over with them because I think 3.5 is a little low for them. I mean, you're going from last year, and I mean, if Tony Muskett gets hurt, their backup quarterback is now focusing on baseball, so you're trying to maybe a true freshman or a former walk-on will be a backup. So, I mean, that's the caveat. But if everyone stays healthy, I think you look at the ACC and you're like, who's really strong after you look at Florida State and Clemson? Who's going to be the other team? I don't know about UNC. I think Miami might be a little overhyped. And then UVA always plays UNC well. So Virginia could do better than 3.5. I think they're actually underrated going into the team. I'm not saying they're going to win the ACC or they're going to be in the top 3, top 4, but they're dead last in the ACC preseason poll. And I can see them being a little higher if everything kind of goes to plan, everyone stays healthy in those key positions. But yeah, it's when you look at the ACC, it's if you say that you know what's going to happen in the ACC, you haven't covered the ACC long enough.
Jackie Franchuli joining us here on the show, covers the Virginia Cavaliers for our ACC and SEC team preview series today. Jackie, what's going on with the quarterback position there? Why did Brennan Armstrong leave, and what can you tell us about Monmouth transfer Tony Muskett?
Yeah, so Brennan Armstrong left because he needed a change of scenery. I think a lot of things happened last year. Obviously, with the November shooting, a lot of players wanted to leave just because they needed a fresh start. I mean, some of the players that stayed say still that it's hard to go to practice and look to your right or left and not see LaVelle Davis, Deshaun Perry, and Devin Chandler. I mean, that is something that these guys will live forever with. So some guys just wanted to change the scenery, including Brennan Armstrong. On the football field, you have the part where he just saw that he didn't fit the offense. He wanted, after last year, it felt like he needed to change his scene. And, NC State not only has, Robert Ernai, his former offensive coordinator, that made him break several ACC records and several Virginia records. But then the O-line coach, Garrett Tujay, also went to NC State. So there's a family environment, a family atmosphere that he knows. His family knows their family, and his family knows their family. So it's a comfort level. So that's why, Brennan Armstrong left. So there's a lot of different parts to that when you saw a lot of the transfers from last year when it came to UVA. Now for Tony Muskett, he was a prospect that Virginia, as soon as he went to the portal, highlighted, we want him. He's a Virginia native, so he's coming back home, and he's even joked that I think he's got over 30 people coming to that first home opener in JMU with his family just about an hour and a half away. And he's a quarterback that, from everything that we can hear about, because Virginia doesn't have many open practices to the media, we probably get flex and 20 minutes of individual workouts, so it's not very much that we see. But from watching the spring game and talking to sources, everyone says that they've been really excited about Tony Muskett because he's been able to adjust the playbook and learn the playbook very quickly. He's been able to establish a good chemistry with his wide receivers during off-season workouts between spring and fall, which is very important. He's been a team leader that people respect and hear. A lot of the young guys really respect his authority, and you got a lot of guys who are receptive to him leading the offense. And seeing him in the spring game and just listening to people, they say he's got a really great cannon of an arm, and he's been pretty accurate. I think one of the people I talked to said that he was about 68% during about a portion of the spring practices, as far as accuracy. So he's definitely someone who's they're very excited about. I think for us, when you look into the fall camp, I'm more curious about the backup quarterback battle, because you hope for a quarterback to stay healthy for the entire season, but things happen. So for Virginia's success, yes, Tony Muskett has to be good, but with their O-line still adjusting, they have a new O-line coach in, they have a lot of new pieces coming in. They added 3 transfer O-linemen, hoping to add more game experience because they lost so many game experience. A couple of guys decided not to play football anymore after the events of November. So they lose a lot of game experience. So with that in mind, you want to make sure you keep your quarterback healthy, but that first couple games will be hard. So the battle is going to be that second quarterback. You're going to try to figure out that true freshman Anthony Colandrea from Florida, is he going to be your backup quarterback? Or are you going to go to a former walk-on and Jared Raymond? Or are you going to go to a FCS quarterback that just walked on as well, Brett House? Will he be a guy you look at? Or will you look at Delaney Crawford, a redshirt freshman quarterback that you brought from California that is a hell of an athlete, but is still raw when it comes to mechanics at quarterback? So that is the main battle I will be looking at when fall camp continues here.
Jackie, all of that said, what would be a success this year for Virginia? I heard you say the over-under's 3.5 wins. We know there's a new quarterback. We know Brennan Armstrong is not walking through that door. I look at the schedule. I count 8 games that I would define as winnable. James Madison at Maryland, home against NC State, at Boston College, William and Mary, Georgia Tech, Duke, and Virginia Tech at home. Those are the 8 winnable games. Is this a situation, Jackie, where a successful year is bowl eligibility? Where would you put that success marker?
I think with everything that this team has gone through on and off the field, I think a bowl season is a successful season. I mean, just think of everything that these guys have gone through in the last 6-7 months. I think anyone would be happy. Administration, fans, everybody will be happy with the bowl season, I think. And they have the potential, like you said, there's a lot of winnable games in this schedule for Virginia. So I can see a path to a bowl game.
Her name is Jackie Franchuli. She is the publisher for Wahoo's 24/7 on 24/7 Sports. She is an award-winning journalist and a proud mom as well. Used to follow her work when she covered my Florida Gators, now doing a great job in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'll tell you this, Jackie. I once drove up the East Coast, starting in Florida and ended in Maine, and I ranked every state that I went through, okay? No offense, South Carolina, you were one of them, but Virginia was number 1 on my list. I absolutely love that state. I think it is the most scenic place. I didn't encounter a ton of traffic there. I think you found a great spot, Jackie, and I'm so happy for you. You are my favorite East Coast state.
Yeah, no, Virginia is beautiful. Blue Ridge Mountains is very, very nice to go. A lot of good hiking in this area.
It most certainly is. Thanks for joining us today, Jackie. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You got it. All right. Jackie Franchuli, publisher for Wahoo's 24/7 on 24/7 Sports, with our Virginia Cavaliers preview on a Thursday edition of the show. All right. Coming up next on the show today, what if we give you our winners? Our winners, our division winners in the National Football League for the 2023 season. Throw a little NFL music on top of that. You can tell me where you disagree. Agree or disagree. It's coming your way next. Yes, Diesel.
By the way, I missed one.
Yes!
Alex Rowe. Alex Rowe, welcome to the stream.
Alex, great to meet you, buddy. Great to have you guys in here today. All new folks that enter the stream into YouTube, provided that you have also subscribed, be sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, just open the YouTube app on your phone, go to the Fan Upstate. You'll find us right there. You get that championship sounding bell. All right, and I'll tell you who's going to win the NFL's 8 divisions in the 2023 season right after this. We are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides, Mark, Ron, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. All right, my friends, I've got a little challenge for you here, okay? Because here's what we're doing in this segment. And I challenge you. We'll see what you got. We'll see what you're made of. In this segment, my friends, I am going to be picking our NFL division winners. All right? For the what I want from you guys is a text message, okay, on the carpro.com text line. I'm going to take a picture at all of the texts that come in that are participating in this challenge, okay? At the end of the NFL season, the person who is most accurate, okay, is going to get one of two things. I will either give a shout out to anyone or anything you want, or I will purchase you a beverage, perhaps an adult beverage, at our next public appearance, which is going to be coming sooner than later, okay? And I'm talking about like sports bar type of experience, restaurant type of experience. So, all right, what you need to do right now is think of what teams are going to win the divisions in the NFL. Now, then I want you to text us your division winners. Whoever is the most accurate. If we have a tie, what I'm going to do is go with the person who got their text in first. Okay? So let's say our winners were correct on 6 of 8 division winners. I'm going to go with the person who was the first person that had 6 right. So the earlier you get your text message in, the better. All right? I will shout out anyone or anything you want, or you and I will have a beer together at our next public event. Sound good? Pretty simple and straightforward challenge to you. 71307 on the text line is where you can get to us. Now, before we hit the music and get this thing cranked up, remember, over the last 10 years, 82% of NFL divisions have been won by the team that has the best quarterback. All right? So that would be roughly, let me see here. Let me do a little math. 7 out of 8, carry the 1, drop the 2, multiply by 3. If 7 out of 8 would mean about 88% of the divisions are won by the team that has the best quarterback. 75% would mean that 2 divisions were not won by the team that has the best quarterback. So when you're making your picks, realize that 6 or 7 out of the 8 divisions are very likely to be won by the team with the best signal caller. What do you say? We make our picks. What do you say? We get rolling with our division winners in 2023 in the National Football League. And what do you say? We get to your texts with the winners as well. Let's hit it, Diesel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you the winner of the division and a 1 through 10 confidence score that I have that I'm going to be right. All right, a 1 through 10 confidence score. The AFC East is going to be won by no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Very, very interesting, though. ESPN's Football Power Index says the Bills are only 44% to win their division. They list the New York Jets at 25%, the Miami Dolphins at 22%. But in terms of likelihood of winning the division, the Bills are only the 6th most likely division winner. How about that? Just a 44% chance. My confidence level is a 6, scale of 1 to 10 in the Buffalo Bills, not because of Aaron Rodgers, but because I think Miami, Mike McDaniel, Tua, I think they take a big jump this year. Interestingly, shockingly, not at all worried about the New England Patriots, and either are the analytics people. The analytics people, wow, they are way down there. In terms of winning the division, the Patriots have an 8.5% chance. Whoever thought we'd be saying that about the hoodie, right? But I've got Buffalo winning the AFC East, nervous about Miami. We keep it rolling in the AFC North. My division winner is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals, I'm 2 for 2 now on taking the team with the best quarterback in the league. My confidence level on this pick is just a 5. Why is it just a 5? Because the Baltimore Ravens have a healthy and super motivated and now signed to the deal that he wanted, Lamar Jackson. That's the team I'm worried about. Not Pittsburgh, not Cleveland. I'm concerned with the Baltimore Ravens. Believe it or not, my friends, the Browns are close in odds to the Ravens to win this division. Cincinnati's far and away number 1. Joe Burrow's coming off that calf strain. He's going to be out. He's going to miss a few weeks. Expected to be back for week 1. ESPN.com, their analytics department says Cincinnati is only the 5th most likely division champion, right? Remember, there's 8 division champions. Who is most likely? Buffalo is the 6th most likely. Cincinnati is the 5th most likely. The Bengals have a 49% chance of winning the AFC North. We keep it rolling, and we get to a division many Tigers fans are excited about, the AFC South. I have Jacksonville, my friends, as the division winner I am most confident in. ESPN Analytics says they're the 2nd most likely division winner. A 61% chance Jacksonville wins their division. I'm going to say I've got a 9 level of confidence because the rest of the teams in this division are a joke. Will Levis isn't ready in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill sucks. Anthony Richardson, I've told you it's going to be at least 3 years before he does anything, right? And then you've got the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, a new regime. It's going to take them some significant time. I think Jacksonville is a shoo-in divisional winner. A shoo-in divisional winner. And then finally, the AFC West. Who wins that division? I'm going to go the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the 3rd most likely division winner, according to ESPN.com. They say the Chiefs have a 56% chance of winning the AFC West. But I'm going to tell you my confidence level that the Chiefs win that division is an 8. Is an 8 overall. Look, folks, this is a division that doesn't have one awful team, in my opinion. Denver should be much better. Raiders should be better with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. Year 2, Josh McDaniels. And the Chargers are expected to be a playoff team, but there's no second contender, a true Super Bowl contender in this division. I think Kansas City wins this one going away. This is actually tied for my 2nd most confident pick. Jacksonville's a 9, Kansas City's an 8. Let's move on to the NFC, where I'm going to tell you, by the way, the AFC, 4 division champions, all 4, I'm taking the best quarterback in the division. Buffalo, Josh Allen. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. Over to the NFC we go. My division winner in the AFC East is, they lost a lot, but I'm still going, Philadelphia Eagles. ESPN says they've got a 52% chance of winning this division. Just a 52% chance. Who's got the 2nd best odds? The Dallas Cowboys. By the way, folks, the Dallas Cowboys, ESPN's analytics department says, actually have the best chance of those not projected to win their division to actually spring the upset and win the thing. Okay, so among the teams that are not projected to win, the Cowboys have the best odds of doing just that. Cowboys have a 29% chance of winning the division. Philadelphia is listed as 52% chance. They did lose a lot. They did lose Hargrave, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, etc., but they still have Hurts. They still have Sirianni. Hurts is now fat and happy and paid. I think Philadelphia, my likelihood they win the division is an 8. Feel very confident about that. Over to the NFC North. Who is the best team in this division? Who's got the best quarterback in this division? Is it Green Bay and Jordan Love? No. Is it Chicago and Justin Fields? Perhaps. Right? Is it Detroit and Jared Goff? No. I'm going to say Minnesota wins this division, but I'm not at all confident in this pick. And I actually differ here from ESPN.com. ESPN's analytics says Detroit wins this division. Likelihood is 43%. I'm going with Minnesota. They say Minnesota's likelihood is 29% to win the NFC North. But I think Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in this division, so I am going Minnesota. They're going to take a significant step back, though, from 13-10 a year ago, maybe 9-8, maybe 10-7. All right, next up, the NFC South, a pretty bad division this year in the National Football League. So why am I so confident? I gave Minnesota a confidence score of 4. I'm picking New Orleans to win the NFC South. My confidence score is a 7. Well, folks, there's always those quarterbacks that you just feel more highly about than everybody else. Derek Carr is that guy for me. I've got him just inside my top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League. And I'm telling you what, folks, I've got a 7 level of confidence that New Orleans wins the NFC South. ESPN's analytics department says they're a 42% chance to do that. Second best odds for the NFC South, they say the Atlanta Falcons at 27%. By the way, they give the Carolina Panthers a 22% chance to win the NFC South and a 35% chance to make the playoffs. 35% chance Carolina makes the playoffs.
22% chance to win, meaning all 4 teams in the division have an equal chance to win this division, meaning nobody in this division is really any better than anybody else.
No. The Panthers have a 22% chance to win the division. Okay? The Saints have a 42% chance to win the division. Okay? But the Panthers are at 35% to make the playoffs. Don't have to win the division to make the playoffs. How about that? Not bad odds for the Carolina Panthers. And then finally, my last division winner, we go to the NFC West. ESPN says this team is the most likely of any team in football to win their division. 63% chance. It is the one division where I am not picking the team with the best quarterback to win it all. San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy could be the best QB in that division. Right now, I'm going to say it's Geno Smith ahead of Matthew Stafford. Boy, who's the second most likely team to win this division? They say Seattle, 24% chance. But San Francisco is the pick. They're my one team that I'm picking again that is not the best quarterback, does not have the best quarterback in their division. But I have got a 7 confidence level that San Francisco wins that division. 7 confidence level New Orleans wins the NFC South. Not confident at all that Minnesota wins the NFC North, but they're my pick. I'm going 4. Philadelphia, confidence level of 8. Those are our NFC picks. So, my friends, my division winners: Buffalo, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Kansas City in the AFC. Philadelphia, Minnesota, New Orleans, San Francisco in the NFC. Let us see your contest picks. Your contest picks. The winner, the person who does this most accurately, I will shout out whatever you would like, or I will buy you a brewski at our next public event. All right. Let's see. Let's check on the text line. Texter says, Jackie Franchuli is great. Great guest. I'm interested in keeping up with Virginia now, and I'm an SEC fan. Awesome, man. I'm so glad that did for you what it did for me, man. I thought she was awesome as well. Let's see here. Texter says, here are my picks, Mark Ryan. Jets, Ravens. Wow, Jets and Ravens. Jags, Chiefs. Eagles, Lions, 49ers, Saints. I only agreed with you on 5. Wow. Chris and Chesney says, Jets, Bengals, Jags, Chiefs, Eagles, Lions, Panthers, Niners. I agreed with him on 5. Texter says Chiefs, Bills. Madcraft says Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Jags. Agree completely. Seahawks, Saints, Eagles, Vikings. Madcraft and I, great minds think alike. We agree on 7 out of 8. The division picks are rolling in. Make sure you keep them coming. I'm going to take screenshots of all of them. And we'll be back right after this, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere, Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel. And we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Mark, Ron, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. Truly do appreciate you making us part of your afternoon. Love you. Appreciate you. The YouTube page, it is awesome to see that growing. How's everybody doing? Adam Dameron, Mark L., Spur Daddy, all with recent comments. Adam Dameron says, I love my Steelers, but I think the Ravens take the North this year. Spur Daddy says, I'd love it if my Steelers surprise this year, but I still don't trust in Pickett enough yet at quarterback. Lots of comments coming in on the YouTube page, as well as the text line, the carpro.com text line, where we've got a little challenge for you. The person that correctly picks the highest number of division winners in the NFL, I'll either give you a dedicated 30-second shout out to whatever you want that I can do legally. Okay, I'll give you that on the air, or I will get you a beverage the next time. You and I will have a beverage the next time we're out on location somewhere, okay, for a public outing or something of the sort, okay? So I'm going to take all these pictures. How does it work with a tiebreaker? Who wins the tiebreaker? Well, if let's say two guys have correctly picked 6 division winners out of 8, I'm going to go with the person who got their text in first, okay? So whoever was first to text in their 6 division winners, that's going to be how we settle the tiebreaker. Maybe you haven't yet texted in your division winners, and you'll be the only one that has all 8 right. How's that?
If I won this thing, Mark, I would make you spend 30 seconds saying Baba Booey. Baba Booey.
Baba Booey to you.
Baba Booey. Still some of the greatest bits were like live TV drop-ins where people would just jump on and say Baba Booey.
Pranking Peter Jennings on. If you guys are wondering what we're talking about here, Peter Jennings took a call. The late great Peter Jennings, rest in peace, sir, took a call. I don't remember his network, Diesel, but it was on one of the 3 major networks: NBC, ABC, CBS, and it was a call from somebody that claimed to be following OJ or seeing OJ.
He claimed to be I think his story changed even halfway through. He didn't even keep a consistent story. But I think he claimed to be a camera technician in one of the station vans at one point. And I think he also claimed to be a neighbor at one point in the same call.
And he closed his call with the giveaway that he was punking the national news was him saying what?
And a Baba Booey to you, sir. Which was a Howard Stern-ism.
It was. And I'm real scared. And OJ is scary, and he's scary looking. You know,
he says goodbye to the caller, and he says, and a Baba Booey to you.
Yeah, he
sir.
did. He most certainly did. All right, let's see what we got coming in here on the challenge that we've got here. Because I will tell you what, I'm seeing a lot of Minnesota. I'm surprised at how much Minnesota I'm seeing. We're getting a text that has Dallas winning the NFC East. That is proof, my friends, that there's a comedian in our group. Let's see here. Texter says, I'm going Saints, Chiefs, Bengals, Eagles, 49ers, Jets, Jaguars, Vikings. Not bad. But what I'm seeing here consistently, my friends, is that so many of you have more hopes for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers than I do. What is that based on exactly? Do you guys know that last year Aaron Rodgers was 15th in quarterback rating and 19th in QBR? Those are the 2 different quarterback rating models, 15th and 19th. All right. Do you know that after week 7 last year, according to Mike Greenberg yesterday, Diesel, Justin Fields had the 3rd best QBR of anyone in the National Football League,
despite having a dumpster fire of a wide receiving core.
Yeah, he did.
Not this year, though.
Let's see. Tony chimes in. Tony chimes in with he's going with the curveball. Tony's going Miami, the Steelers. Wow, Tony, you are out there, my man. Miami, the Steelers, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Detroit, the Saints, and the Niners. So says Pittsburgh Tony. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that he is going that he's going with the Steelers, given that his name is Pittsburgh Tony. Texter says that Justin Fields his receivers also had the most drops in the league by a wide margin. Yeah, that certainly happened, man. That certainly happened. So your division picks can come in. Easy enough assignment, right? And I don't know, guys. I feel like I nailed it. There's a surprise team every single year. My surprise team this year, my surprise playoff pick is the Chicago Bears for the exact same reason that Mike Greenberg mentioned. I think everybody's sleeping on Justin Fields. They added DJ Moore. They got him a weapon, right? That's my surprise playoff pick. But are they ready to win the division in the NFC North? Man, I don't know. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, to me anyway, that's still a wee bit better than anything anybody else has to offer.
Adam Dameron on the YouTube chat even says even Cleveland has a strong roster. And I replied, best masseuses in the league.
Oh, no. It's too soon, Diesel.
No, it's not.
Cut that crap out. All right. We've got the top 5 at 5. We've got the top 5 at 5 coming your way next. Right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ron, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. this afternoon and evening. How's everybody doing out there today? You enjoying the Upstate? Hey, look, it's a rainy day, but we could use a little break in the clouds. The plants could use some water. Diesel showing off his grass to me. No, not the Bob Marley kind of grass. Showing off his backyard grass to me. The backyard could use this kind of day. This kind of day, could it not? My friends, we are jam-packed the remaining 2 hours of the show today. We've got the top 5 at 5. We have got the Gamecocks' most to least likely losses in the 2023 season. We've got either or. And we have you here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. But it is now time for us to do that jam. We call it the top 5 at 5. The top 5 biggest sports stories of the day. The top 5 topics we are discussing. Ladies and gentlemen of the Upstate, Offsiders, the top 5 at 5 starts right now.
And now, the top 5 at 5.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hit it.
5.
At number 5, Desmond Ridder. Much maligned Desmond Ridder. The Desmond Ridder that I do not believe in is going to be the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. Look, guys, I owe you honesty. I owe you to work as hard as I can on the show. You're always going to get those two things from me. But I'm not trying to hate on the kid, and I love for kids to prove me wrong. I'm just not a believer in Desmond Ridder based on what I saw of him in his time at Cincinnati. Arthur Smith, though, maybe he's blowing smoke, maybe he's not, says in this clip that he believes Desmond Ridder is the QB of the future.
I like a young quarterback, and, people look at just the last 4 games last year and they say, well, based on those 4 games, but he really, progressed from the time he came on campus here after he was drafted and had a good camp, and he's been a strong leader since he's shown up here, continued to develop. I think he worked well with Mariota last year, learned a lot from Marcus. And he's a learner. He's got a lot of humility, and as the year progressed, he had an opportunity to play, and I think he played at a very competitive level. The last 4 games, each game seemed to be a little bit better. So, we feel pretty strongly that, he's going to be our quarterback of the future, and we got to play games and we got to see, but we feel good about him.
Is Desmond Ridder the long-term replacement for Matt Ryan in Atlanta, or is he a stopgap? You know that I feel it's the latter, not the former. But what do you guys think? Stopgap or long-term solution? Next up,
4.
we've got a little challenge for you guys today. We are taking your NFL division picks. Who wins each division? Okay, now, for the person that out of the 8 possible divisions gives us the most correct division winners, all right, I'm going to give you a 30-second shout-out on the air to whatever you want, or I'll buy you a beverage at the next public Offsides, the Fan Upstate outing. Okay, you and me will have a beer together. All right, so what you need to do is you need to text us on the carpro.com text line your division winners. If there is a tie, like let's say you get 8 and somebody else gets 8, the person who got their division picks in first will get the dub, will get the win. My division picks, my friends, remembering that 82% of NFL divisions have been won the last 10 years by the team that had the best quarterback, I'm going Buffalo. Scale of 1 to 10, my confidence level there is a 6. Cincinnati, my confidence level there is a 5. Jacksonville, my confidence level there is a 9. There's no way Jacksonville's not winning the AFC South. Kansas City is my division winner pick. Confidence level there is an 8. Over in the NFC, I'm going Philadelphia. Confidence level, scale of 1 to 10 is an 8. I'm going Minnesota in the NFC North, not at all confident, but I'm going to say a confidence level of 4. Just between those teams, man, Minnesota's my pick. I do think Chicago could make the playoffs as a wild card. I'm going New Orleans wins the NFC South, confidence level 7. Derek Carr's a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for it. And I'm going San Francisco wins the NFC West. That is the one division that is going to be won by the team that doesn't have the best quarterback in that division. I think the best QB is Geno Smith, but I think Brock Purdy and company win the NFC West. San Francisco, one of the best rosters in the National Football League. Get your division picks into us right now. Next up,
3.
First game of the year tonight, my friends. It is the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets in the Hall of Fame game. Now, it's interesting to me because, to me, first football game of the year, but are there 2 players in the entire league under more pressure than Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers? Seriously, ask yourself this. Who in the NFL is under the greatest amount of pressure? I think Aaron Rodgers. I think Deshaun Watson. I think Dak Prescott. Coaches, players, quarterbacks, anybody. Who is likely to have a good year this year? Who's likely to release some of that pressure? Maybe Aaron Rodgers has a better chance than Deshaun does, but let's just say, folks, the voices are going to be loud and very much opposing whichever of those 2 quarterbacks doesn't get it done.
Some would say that Deshaun Watson is an expert at releasing pressure.
Yeah, Diesel, he is. Diesel is increasing my discomfort on the show today with all these massage jokes, man. Deshaun Watson. Oh, man. All right, first game of the year, guys. Are you jacked? Are you excited? It's tonight. Next up,
2.
At number 2 today on the show. Folks, this is so darn disturbing. You know how TJ Dudley was kicked off of the Clemson football team? Well, it's actually, I misspoke there. It's actually because he clicked off a little bit too much. TJ Dudley was kicked off of the Clemson football team because he sold pictures via OnlyFans of unsuspecting teammates in the Clemson locker room. It didn't go well with the team when they found out. He was then dismissed from the team. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Wow.
Can you guys believe that? Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney revealed his disappointment with the developments. It was a disappointing situation because he's a good kid and a man. He had a chance to be a great player for us this year, so it definitely hurts. It's unfortunate, but we've got rules, and sometimes it's just best to get a fresh start. We wish him well. Can you believe that, Diesel? You're selling nudes of teammates in the locker room. That warrants an ass whooping, doesn't it?
Yeah, and good God, could Clemson give South Carolina fans any more ammo? Like, first of all, we had Christian Wilkins grabbing booty cheeks. Then we had Deshaun Watson doing what he allegedly did. And now you got this coming out of the Clemson locker room as well.
The dude is sitting there like this with his cell phone. Those of you on the YouTube page can see. You ever snap the picture and try to get someone not to know you were snapping a picture? You look like you're looking at your phone. You're not doing much more than that. I don't know, man. If he got faces with those buns, Diesel, if he got faces with those twigs and giggleberries, that is about as low as it gets, man. As low as it gets. Man, I reckon you get your ass kicked for doing something like that, man. What movie?
That is Office Space.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's the next door neighbor.
It is. Very good. Very, very good. Diesel's on it with the movie references. Can you believe that, folks? Posted nudes of Clemson players from the Clemson locker room.
Madcraft says all in, only fans.
Oh. Diesel, it also just goes to show you how efficiently and effectively Clemson gets rid of stories like this. You know, the 2 Clemson players smash into the mail carrier. You wouldn't even know, like, it's gone within 24 hours. This is on a site, Diesel, that I'm not even sure is reputable. okay? But I found it in a few other places now, so I know it's correct, but it's not out there. It's not out there. Clemson is very much a Teflon program that nothing sticks to. And they do a fantastic job of, moving on. It's not a sweeping it under the rug thing, though. If you dig, you can find it, but you have to dig to find it. I didn't know that until today. What say you guys about that? And finally, at number 1 today, my friends, the sad state of affairs in college football. We are told that the Pac-12 is meeting to determine its own fate, and they'll have a decision on its own fate, within the next 24 to 36 hours. Gone could be the history. Gone could be the rivalries, right? College football is clearly for sale right now, and some things should never, ever, ever be sold, right? I want to remind you that exactly 2 years ago, I came out with a tweet that said Clemson and Florida State have reached out to the SEC about the possibility of joining, but the SEC was not going to add them at that time. The next day after I sent out that tweet, Florida State's president put out a statement denying my scoop on Florida State letterhead. He denied what I knew to be true. 2 years to the day of my tweet a couple of years ago, folks, 2 years to the day. Florida State's president came out with a statement and said, I believe FSU will have to seriously consider leaving the ACC unless there is radical change.
And there was an article posted today on the ESPN homepage. Paul Feinbaum lists the most likely destinations for Clemson and Florida State.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. We
Wasn't
should
he
get that
the
guy
one?
on the show.
We should.
He said not even 1% chance of coming true.
That clip, Diesel? Do we have that anywhere? I would love to hear that. So Paul Feinbaum, that's something, isn't it, guys? That we had to get dissed by Paul Feinbaum a couple years ago when we knew something that other people didn't know. I don't get it, folks. I don't understand the why there. I don't understand why they dogged us, when we had something they didn't have. But they did. And it was unfortunate. Very, very, very unfortunate. Right? And Paul Feinbaum was wrong. Now he's listing the destinations for Clemson and Florida State. There's a missing link, folks, in our accountability in terms of social media. We like to dog people, but we never hold people accountable, when they were dead wrong about something. No one has come to me in the media and said, Mark, you deserve a lot of credit for what you came out with 2 years ago. Made a lot of people uncomfortable. A lot of folks weren't ready to hear it, but you were completely and totally on point. Folks, the Big Ten is meeting to add Oregon and Washington. Yes, Diesel.
I think we have the right clip, but I'm not positive.
Let's hear what we got.
We're coming up on 6 months to the day.
No, we don't have the clip. It's buried in here somewhere,
Yeah.
but if I can't hear it, I don't know exactly where to press play.
Yeah, it was 6 months to the day. I remember doing that segment, Diesel, but the Big Ten is meeting with Oregon and Washington. They're meeting to discuss whether they want to add Oregon and Washington. And my take to you guys has been, I think the Big Ten's aggressiveness is really going to help Clemson, right? Clemson doesn't want to go to the Big Ten, but the Big Ten is a better option than the ACC. Clemson wants to go to the SEC. Florida State wants to go to the SEC. But by the Big Ten being so aggressive and discussing expanding beyond 16 teams, that's going to force the SEC's hand to extend an invite to Clemson or Florida State, or perhaps both. If you were the Big Ten, would you be content to be the second best conference? They're in a great spot. They're an academic conference. They're number 2 in the pecking order to the SEC, right? But they're not number 1. I'm actually very impressed that they're hell-bent on trying to become the best conference in college football. That pressure could open the door for Clemson to be added to the Southeastern Conference. If the Big Ten doesn't expand, then the SEC is inclined to stand pat, and Clemson doesn't get the bid that they're looking for. So, folks, my question to you is college football's spot as America's number 2 sport in doubt. The NFL is far and away number 2, but you may not realize the NFL is far and away number 1. You may not realize college football is easily number 2. College football, better ratings than Major League Baseball. College football, better ratings than the NBA, NHL, anything else. College football is the number 2. But I think we can all agree we don't like the direction of college football today. Josh Pate asked a poll question today. He said, if you could have one or the other but not both, which would you choose? You can have college football forever the way it was before 2007, or you can have college football forever the way it will be in 2027 and moving on. Would you choose the college football 2007 and earlier, or the college football post 2007? For me, it is not even close. I'm going old school college football because I do not like what I'm seeing. I do not like the schedule changes. I do not like the expansion. I know they're doing it for money, and they're going to assume the money's always going to be there, and I think they're going to be wrong on that. I think this sport is about to hit a low point. What about you? And those are today's top 5 at 5. Now it's your chance to chime in, which you can do at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. The CarPro.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. You can get to us on Facebook. You can get to us on Twitter, and you can get to us via YouTube at The Fan Upstate on each one. Please like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and hit that little red subscribe button for us on YouTube if you would be so kind. And finally, email. You guys can all email the show. Mark Ryan, that's M-A-R-C Ryan at thefanupstate.com. All the different ways you can get in touch with us here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. Coming up next on the show, we are going to get to South Carolina Gamecocks schedule preview 2023, and we're going to rank the South Carolina Gamecocks schedule from most likely losses to least likely losses. That, my friends, is next. And this is Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel, the Fan Upstate.
Guys, it was incredible to see so many new faces in the stream today and see the numbers going up. I think I looked up at one point, there were 15 people watching the stream, and that's huge. That's huge, and we just want to keep it growing. So thank you guys so much for making that happen today.
Yeah, guys, you're the best, man. All the new people that signed in, if y'all can help us increase our subscriber total, that'd be great, man. We love the interaction. We love that you guys are here every single day, man. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you. Make sure you get your NFL division picks in. Who are the division winners? And enter our little challenge that we're doing today. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.